Pace University welcomes you to the Elisabeth Haub School of Law Class of 2021 Virtual Commencement Ceremony. Please welcome the Dean of the Elisabeth Haub School of Law, Horace Anderson.
To Haub Law faculty, staff, alumni, family, friends, honored guests, and graduates of the Class of 2021, welcome to the Elisabeth Haub School of Law Virtual Commencement Celebration for 2021. In this virtual celebration, you'll hear from your classmates, Ross Kaiser and Lauren Schneblin, Pace University President Marvin Krislov, Professor Jay Carlisle, U.S. District Court Judge Philip Halpern, and Pace University's Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Mark Beska. We have all come together to celebrate you. You have completed a course of rigorous training and solid preparation for those who wish to become lawyers. Your Haub Law education has enabled you to think like a lawyer, to do the work of a lawyer, and to understand the role of lawyers in society. Your Haub Law degree will serve you well as lawyers, leaders, and achievers in whatever endeavors you undertake. Especially after the year we've had, I'm proud to know you, proud to have taught some of you, and proud to be your dean. It's been almost a year since George Floyd's murder in May 2020, with the guilty verdict coming just last month. And we have asked hard questions and have had open and frank discussions concerning policing, systemic discrimination, structural racism, implicit bias, and race relations in this country. We have asked ourselves how we as attorneys can use the law as a tool to pursue social change. While there's much more to come, the law school has developed and reaffirmed a social justice agenda, which includes expanding our social justice curriculum, taking a leading role in New York's Law School Anti-Racism Consortium, and working to grow the pipeline of diverse law students and law faculty. Haub Law remains committed to the pursuit of social justice in the United States and in the world. This commitment is in our DNA as a law school, and we'll continue to do that work beyond the present moment. It's been over a year since we shifted to remote and then hybrid instruction in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. As pervasive as it has been, affecting the latter half of your legal education, the pandemic will not be the final word for the Class of 2021. This class will be defined in large part by its vigorous and determined response to one of the worst calamities in a generation. In the past few months, these graduating Haub Law students and students in the other classes have demonstrated tremendous resilience by taking in stride disruption and redirection of campus instruction and operations. You have already demonstrated that you can overcome adversity and keep your focus on the goal ahead. We're here to celebrate your achievements and your promise. This group of students has been doing and will continue to do many great and impressive things. In spite of our limitations on campus, we had a number of virtual highlights this past year. We held the first annual Elisabeth Haub School of Law Environmental Law and Policy Hack Competition. We virtually conferred the 2019-2020 Elisabeth Haub Award for Environmental Law and Diplomacy in memoriam for environmental defenders who have lost their lives defending their land and the environment from destructive industries. Professor Bennett Gershman was recognized by Pace University as a distinguished professor, which is the highest honor the university bestows upon faculty. Our alumni board and board of visitors supported our students financially, professionally, and emotionally. Our community demonstrated both dynamism and compassion in 2020-2021. Now that we're at the end of the school year, I am especially pleased to point out some external recognition of the excellent work that we do at Haub Law every day. U.S. News and World Report recently ranked our environmental law program #1 in the country. This ranking is the latest major success for the program, which has consistently been rated among the very best. In the past few years, the environmental law program has recruited top faculty who are recognized scholars in climate change law, international human rights law, natural resources, and food systems law, and who, by the way, are great teachers of our core curriculum as well. Additionally, U.S. News & World Report ranked our trial advocacy program number 24, reflecting a lot of hard work on the part of 471 Haub Law students, over 30 alumni mentor coaches, and our advocacy program leader, Professor Louis Fasulo, and his team. That collective effort yielded strong finishes and individual honors for our 17 external competition teams, and also enabled us to host or co-host several major competitions ourselves, including the All-Star National Trial Competition, the ICC Moot Court, and the National Environmental Law Moot Court Competition, all virtually. Thanks to the advocacy program, and congratulations for this well-earned recognition. I'd like to acknowledge that with the pandemic came tremendous loss, which spared no community, the law school included. Haub Law mourned and continues to mourn members of its community lost to the coronavirus. We acknowledge these losses and pay tribute to their lives and memory. 2021 has brought with it wider availability of vaccines and a sense of hope that was difficult to find in 2020. We will continue to remain vigilant against the virus, but I look forward to a day soon when we can once again safely gather for celebrations like this in the traditional way. In the meantime, congratulations on achieving this important milestone and extraordinary accomplishment. And best of luck, continued success in your careers and in your lives. Well done. Godspeed, and stay in touch. It is now my pleasure to introduce Ross Kaiser to perform the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Ross, for that inspiring rendition of the national anthem. And now I'd like to introduce Lauren Schneblin to deliver the student address.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to take a minute to reflect on these last 3 years we shared together. For those of you who I haven't met, my name is Lauren Schneblin, and I'm lucky enough to be graduating with this group of my fellow students today. I'd like to start out by saying thank you to our deans, our professors, and all of the faculty here at the law school for a fulfilling 3 years. And especially given the challenges I had to overcome toward the end, thank you for all of your hard work and commitment to the students. I'd also like to say thank you to all of my fellow graduates and to the students in the classes below us. Some of you have become like family to me over the last 3 years, and I truly don't know how I would have made it here without you. I moved here from Kansas City to start law school, and I knew absolutely nothing about New York in general, nothing about law school, and I didn't know a single soul within 1,000 miles. Despite all of that, today I can honestly say I feel at home here, and I'm excited for the future. And finally, a special thank you to my wonderful parents who supported me even when I had the wild idea to drop everything and move across the country. I'm forever grateful for your love and support. Today, I want to take a few minutes to reflect on some of the good memories and end with how in the world a random kid from Kansas City ended up here. We started our 1L year like any other year. We sat in the moot courtroom for what felt like weeks together and heard about the countless accomplishments of the graduates before us and even the accomplishments of our own classmates before starting this law school journey together. We also heard about a few horror stories of cold calls in 1L classes and the dreaded bar exam. I don't know about you all, but I definitely had my fair share of panic moments during orientation and all throughout 1L. The most memorable probably being when I tried to start the very first assignment for torts, and I thought, well, first things first, I should figure out what the word tort means. And I figured that'd be the best place to start my law school studies. Luckily, I had Google to help me. But I did start to doubt myself and my decision to start this path so seemingly unprepared. And I was fully ready to pretend like I didn't exist if Professor McLaughlin called on me in the first day of torts. Luckily, that didn't happen. Nevertheless, we made it through all the cold calls, the endless hours of reading and studying, perhaps a few tears here and there, and even those brutal finals. I'll never forget the euphoric feeling I had when we finished the contracts final at the end of 1L. And I know I'm not alone in that feeling because Shannon and I still talk about it all the time, probably like once a month. We're hoping to recreate that feeling somehow, and fingers crossed it'll be later this year after the bar exam. I think we may have been somewhat misled when they said it gets easier after 1L. 2L was certainly a different experience, but just as much, if not more challenging. For most of 2L, we continue focusing on our grades, our ranks, securing a summer internship, and all of the other tasks that go along with law school. It was still the most intellectually challenging experience I had ever been through. Then, as we all know, in March 2020, law school shifted from being not only the most intellectually challenging time, but also the most emotionally and mentally draining experience I could possibly imagine. And I know many of you feel the same way. I remember sitting in the library in early March, not knowing it would be the last time I was in there for several months, and talking to Kendall about what exactly coronavirus even was. We had a very scary realization when we were thinking, wait a minute, how exactly does this end? It doesn't just go away. How long is everything going to be shut down? As with the rest of the world, we had no idea how it would end and couldn't possibly even imagine what the next year would hold. The next day, I remember getting the email and thinking how crazy it was that our classes went all online for 2 whole weeks. And yet here we are today in May 2021, celebrating graduation virtually. Needless to say, our law school experience was never the same since that day in March 2020. It's hard, if not impossible, to put into words just how challenging the last year has been. And I won't even try to relate to the hurt and despair I know many of you have felt. Instead, I'd like to try to keep this lighthearted and share a shortened version of my own journey and how I ended up here with you today. And bear with me, I promise there's a link at the end. So I grew up having absolutely no clue what I wanted to do with my life. Luckily, my parents pushed me to keep going with my education, and they reminded me that I didn't need to have my life figured out right away. I moved to Arkansas to get my undergrad degree, and I started studying science. And I remember choosing my undergrad degree kind of on a whim, sitting in a room during college orientation. They were going around the room to split up into groups based on our majors, and they called my name, so I had to come up with something. And there was very little thought that went into that decision, but luckily I ended up loving a lot of my classes, and I particularly enjoyed chemistry. I graduated in 2016, and I took a job that was somewhat relevant to what I had just studied. I moved back close to Kansas City. I made enough money to afford my very own first apartment with real furniture, and I thought I had made it. I worked there for over a year, and I absolutely loved my boss and my coworkers, and I was able to pretty quickly catch on, move up the ladder, and was even up for a promotion. And I still don't know exactly why, but that whole time I found myself wanting more. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted or needed, but I knew that wasn't it for me. And don't get me wrong, I felt happy and I had countless things to be grateful for. But instead of pushing that feeling aside, I decided to take a risk. And in retrospect, it sounds maybe even a little reckless, and it was definitely impulsive. But I decided to take the LSAT after Googling what it was just a few months prior and shoot my shot to get into law school. I came to New York to visit for the very first time by myself a few months later, and don't even get me started as to how clueless I was trying to navigate the city. But nevertheless, I made it, and when I was on the plane to go back home, I thought to myself, you know what? I just love the feeling of a new adventure, a new challenge, a brand new experience. And so I decided I was going to quit my stable job, move out of my apartment, and drive over 1,000 miles away from everyone I know to start a journey I didn't know the first thing about. And there were definitely times, especially during 1.0, that I thought, wow, that was way too impulsive. I cannot believe I did that without planning it out. Like, what am I doing? I truly had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I just took it day by day and I went with it. And to a very different degree, I think that's exactly what many of us have done to make it through the last year as COVID continued to upend our lives in every way. There's no possible way anyone could have predicted this last year or even attempted to prepare for it, but you made it anyway. Life will surely continue to throw us unexpected situations that we don't ask for, and we will continue to tackle them one by one. At the same time, I think one of the best ways to prepare for the unexpected, and perhaps to help us realize what we are truly capable of, is to sometimes actively choose to take that risk you've been contemplating. I know I'm definitely a completely different person than I was when I packed up in 2018 to begin this new chapter, and I bet many of you feel the same way. After all those feelings of inadequacy, nervousness, and unpreparedness I had during this journey, I'm still extremely grateful I decided to take a chance on myself 3 years ago. And so, class of 2021, I leave you with this. The next time you have the opportunity to take the risk, to accept the challenge, or to dive into those uncharted waters, you should absolutely do it. You've done it before, and you can and will do it again. And I'd like to end with a short little quote that was on this little picture in my parents' house when I was growing up. They probably don't even remember it, but it has always stuck with me for some reason. It said, "If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got." And on that note, thank you again to everyone for a rewarding 3 years, and I wish the absolute best to each of you in your future careers. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. And now I'd like to introduce the president of Pace University, Marvin Krislov.
Thank you, Dean Anderson. Thank you, Lauren, for that wonderful student address. Thank you, Judge Halpern, for being with us today and being such a good friend to this wonderful institution. And finally, hello, Elisabeth Haub School of Law, class of 2021. Congratulations, you are about to become law school graduates. Law school is never easy, but you've had an especially challenging time in this past year. I'm so proud of all you've accomplished, and I'm even prouder of the dedication and perseverance that enabled you to push through these hurdles. I also know some of you have confronted illness and even loss, and I know how hard that has been. Your accomplishment is even more impressive. I am inspired by your commitment. I am also inspired by the opportunities that reach ahead of you. So much is changing in our world today, and that makes it a critical time to be engaged in the law. Look at the front page of any newspaper, listen to any podcast, and nearly every story involves some aspect of the law. Social and racial justice, policing, our democracy and constitutional checks and balances, civil rights, immigration, technology and regulation, and of course, our changing climate. I think there may be no more important profession today than the law. And I say that not just because I am trained as a lawyer. Our government is so polarized and the problems we face today so great that many of these policy questions are being settled in the courts. Lawyers and judges are dealing with the basic questions facing our society. the proper role of government, the proper role of law enforcement, the balance of free speech and personal rights, even how our democratic system should function. You are lawyers now, or you will be once you pass the bar, and you will be in a position to work on these critically important questions. More than that, you will be officers of the court, which gives you a special responsibility. Your job requires you to advocate for your clients and for your causes, but you must also use your expertise to help others grapple with these important issues and to understand them. As you set out on your career, I want you to remember these unique privileges and responsibilities. You can use your discretion to ensure that the law is used in good and fair ways. You can remain dedicated to understanding other people, even your adversaries. You have learned to examine an issue from all sides and different perspectives. It is a real skill. You better advocate for your own position when you understand the opposing view. You can also help uphold fundamental rights for everyone. No principle is as important to our legal system than the idea that everyone, every single person deserves representation, the poor and the underserved as much as the rich and powerful. I encourage all of you to make sure you fight for the rights of the powerless, the underserved, the poor, whether in your daily practice or through volunteer pro bono work. Whatever you do in your careers, remember that lawyers are instrumental to the working of democracy. Here at Haub Law, your teachers have illuminated all corners of the law, contracts to torts, corporate to public interest, civil procedure to intellectual property. They have taught you to be thinking professionals, not merely technicians who know how to review a contract or file a motion. You know how to confront small claims and major litigation. Many of you have already served clients working in some of our clinics. Now, graduates, it is time for you to go out and build your legal careers. And remember that law degrees can lead you to all sorts of unexpected places. I had a clerkship after I graduated from law school, and then I planned to transition to public interest law, but I couldn't find the job that I really wanted. After searching for a bit, I ended up in the federal government. As you may know, ultimately I used my legal training to transition from government to education. Like everything in our world, today's legal landscape is rapidly changing. But the lessons I learned in my career path remain true. Remember that nothing is forever. What you do tomorrow will not dictate what you do next year. Things will change, and your career will take you to unexpected places. So be open to that. Be open to exploration, be flexible, be creative. I know you will accomplish amazing things. And finally, as you go out into the world, remember the entirety of your time here at PACE, not just this past year. Remember the community you've been part of, the colleagues you've met, and the faculty and staff you've learned from. Come back and see us. Keep up your connections and meet the students who will follow in your footsteps. Support those students. Help them in their path to practice. Look out for them as they navigate their careers, just as past PACE alumni looked out for you. For now, let me say congratulations and good luck. I cannot wait to see you in person soon as proud alumni of the Elisabeth Haub School of Law. It is now my pleasure to invite Professor J. Carlisle to the podium to present the Honorable Philip Halpern for an honorary Doctor of Laws degree.
The Honorable Philip M. Halpern, U.S. District Court Judge for the Southern District of New York in White Plains, is an alumnus of the Elisabeth Haub School of Law at Pace University and a dedicated public servant with a long and accomplished career in law and on the bench. Judge Halpern was nominated to the Southern District Bench in 2018 by President Donald Trump. Before his nomination, Judge Halpern was the managing partner at Collier, Halpern, and Newberg LLP in White Plains, with more than 100 reported decisions and almost 4 decades of experience representing individuals, corporations, and Fortune 500 companies. He has extensive trial and appellate experience and a strong commitment to client advocacy. His practice focused on commercial litigation, estates, employment litigation, real estate litigation, and securities litigation. Judge Halpern was admitted to practice law in the states of New York and Connecticut and appeared regularly in the federal and state courts in these jurisdictions, as well as a variety of other courts nationwide. He has taken cases to successful verdict in more than a dozen states. Judge Halpern was also an adjunct professor at Haub Law and a longtime member of Haub Law's Board of Visitors. He has been an inspiration to Haub Law students and has made a real and lasting impact in every role in which he has served. For his many professional accomplishments, his dedication to the law and commitment to public service, his inspiring example to others, both within and outside the legal profession, Pace University is honored to confer upon the Honorable Philip M. Halpern the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto.
As authorized by the Board of Trustees of Pace University, I confer upon you, Judge Philip Halpern, the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereunto.
President Krislov, Dean Anderson, distinguished faculty, honored guests, friends and family of the class of 2021, and of course the class of 2021. Good afternoon, and thank you for the honor and privilege of addressing you today. And thank you for bestowing on me the Doctor of Law degree. I'm deeply honored by that kind gesture. I, like you, sat in these seats in 1980 when I graduated from this terrific law school. From then until now, I've spent 40 years practicing law, and most recently as a district court judge in the Southern District of New York. While living 40 years as an attorney and now a judge gives me no special insight into the marketplace of ideas, I am comfortable in sharing with you some observations I've made while living my own life. Consider me as a messenger from your future career as an attorney and take what you find helpful. First, look around. Smell the air. Look at your family and loved ones who have supported you throughout this endeavor. Love them and appreciate them. Second, enjoy this moment. Each of you has succeeded at a very difficult endeavor. Not everyone gets to go to law school. The bar exam that's looming ahead of you simply requires the same effort, respect, and diligence that got you here. Pay it its due, and you'll be great at it. As you proceed from this day forward, this fork in the road that you've created by graduating from law school, consider the realities of the multiple roles that you will now assume. Consider your continuing role as a family member. First and foremost, you are a family member, whether you're a husband, a wife, a partner, a father or a son, daughter, mother, grandson, granddaughter, sibling, or cousin. These relationships are your most important ones. Cherish them, nurture them, never abuse them, and never let your lawyering skills get in the way of these most important relationships. Consider your role as an officer of the court. On the day of your admission to practice law, you become an officer of the court. Your first responsibility in a litigation is your duty as an officer of the court. This requires honesty, loyalty, zealous but respectful representation, civility to everyone you are in contact with. Play by the rules, no shortcuts, no lying. Take your role seriously, and I'm certain you will find that the people you interact with, whether it's the judge, an adversary, or courthouse personnel, will all treat you with the same respect. Consider your role as an advocate. Remain ensconced in life from a student's point of view. You will be an advocate for causes, people, and corporations. Argue with sincerity and based on the facts and the law. You must continue in your role as a student. A piece of paper like a license doesn't make you an expert advocate. It does not give you the corner on legal arguments. All it does is give you a seat at the table of life. Always remain a student who is willing to learn. And remain a student so that as you progress, you continue to learn new facts, new industries, new stories, new ideas. Practice law. If you ever wake up and you know everything, do something else. Consider your role as your own person, your own well-being. You need to get healthy and stay healthy. You need to take care of your own health. You're going to have others put their problems in your hands. Your clear and sober thinking and judgment is what people will seek from you. Sobriety issues, mental health issues, and addiction issues are real in our industry. In that regard, you need to worry about yourselves and your brother and sister fellow attorneys. Try to stay healthy. You need to dream dreams, and this is where I want to share a personal story, if you would indulge me for a minute. Harken back to 1980. I don't think most of you were born in 1980. Preston Hall is the only building we had at Pace Law School. It was provisionally accredited. There were no computers. There was no Westlaw. There was no LexisNexis. And the law school had a committee that was vetting students' resumes for those of us who wanted to work in the court system. And I submitted my resume, and the committee kindly looked favor on me and sent my resume. The problem was the judges to whom my resume was sent were deceased. And so I didn't get those jobs. But that's not the point. About a month later, a law school professor of mine, Professor J. Carlisle, called me and said, "Do you mind if I sent your resume to Judge Cooper in the Southern District of New York, who's looking for a law clerk?" Looking down the barrels at life, not knowing whether I passed the bar exam, I immediately said, "Professor Carlisle, that would be terrific." My education stood me in good stead. I got that job. My law school stood behind me. I finished that experience, and it created a burning desire in me to become a district court judge. All of that took place 41 years ago. I'm here today to tell you how lucky I am. How lucky I am that I went to this law school, and how lucky I am that my law school and its professors stood behind me. They will stand behind you too. You need to live life, smell the roses, learn how to win graciously, Learn how to lose with equal grace. Try to balance the important things in life: family, work, and recreation. Ignore none of them. Read, watch, learn, listen. Stay focused. Your generation, your class of 2021, having experienced and lived through a pandemic, is uniquely positioned to move forward on so many fronts. We can and will improve the delivery of legal services with the use of technology and our ingenuity. The reach of the law has been extended by our collective abilities to adapt to changing times. Our legal community, like many businesses, is bouncing back with force. Stay focused on that changing circumstance. There is more opportunity today for focused minds than in a very long time. Lean on your educational habits and remain focused. Finally, consider your role as a colleague. Colleagues treat people with the same respect and dignity you want to be treated with. Learn from your colleagues. Adversaries can get along. Adversaries can be respectful. Colleagues can display leadership qualities. All of you have the innate ability to lead. Pick something that interests you. Give back, lead a group, organize a team, help someone, so that by your example, you distinguish yourselves amongst your colleagues. Support your family. Support your employer, be it a private firm or government agency. Support groups that help the impoverished, those who can't afford our services. Support your colleagues. Support your law school. Look what it's given you. Give back to it. Be proud of your education. Be loyal to your law school. Your law school family is now 42 years old and growing. Be loyal to your profession. Be true to yourselves. Take advantage of all of your hard work to date. I want to leave you with two powerful thoughts. First, from my judge, who undoubtedly is responsible for me standing before you here today. As I was leaving the end of my clerkship, he said to me, always be satisfied with the applause of your own conscience. A simple but powerful self-liquidating rule. And finally, Abraham Lincoln, as he reflected on his role as an attorney, said, I'm not bound to win, I'm bound to be true. I'm not bound to succeed, I'm bound to live up to the light I have. As you move forward from today, I pray that your lights shine as bright beacons for those who need your skills, and that you never, ever, never let anyone or anything extinguish your burning desire to build a life which includes the practice of law. God bless you, and congratulations.
Thank you, Judge Halpern. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. It's my pleasure to introduce the chairman of Pace University's Board of Trustees, Mark Beska. Chairman Beska, I am pleased to present to you the candidates for graduation from the Elisabeth Haub School of Law, Class of 2021.
Haub Class of 2021. I'm sorry we're not in person today, but I'm very excited by what I'm about to say. Graduates, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Pace University and the Regents of the State of New York, I confer upon each of you, as approved by the Dean and faculty of the Elisabeth Haub School of Law, the appropriate degree and course with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereunto. Congratulations.
Pace University welcomes you to the Elisabeth Haub School of Law Class of 2021 Virtual Commencement.
Faris M. Albadi, Doctor in Juridical Science. Leonardo Garcia da Silva Munoz, Doctor in Juridical Science. Kirinut Sabsun Tornkul, Doctor in Juridical Science. Hui Shihan Wang, Doctor in Juridical Science. Rajani Alampur, LLM, Comparative Legal Studies. Camille Ducharme, LLM, Comparative Legal Studies. Xiaofei Lu, LLM, Comparative Legal Studies, summa cum laude. Emran Mahmood, LLM, Comparative Legal Studies. Noel Patrick O'Brien, LLM, Comparative Legal Studies. Yuli Pimentel, LLM, Comparative Legal Studies. Rajani Alampur, LLM, Environmental Law. Ravathi Alampur, LLM, Environmental Law. Camille Ducharme, LLM, Environmental Law, cum laude. Jenna Corey Hanna, LLM, Environmental Law, summa cum laude. Yuri Coral, LLM, Environmental Law, summa cum laude. Emma Kate Legel, LLM, Environmental Law, magna cum laude. Mary Olga Linares, LLM, Environmental Law. Stuart Leonidas Janes Macris, LLM, Environmental Law, cum laude. Frederick Maus, LLM, Environmental Law, summa cum laude. Joaquin Otsubo, LLM, Environmental Law, magna cum laude. Umar Salim, LLM, Environmental Law. Connor Strong, LLM, Environmental Law, magna cum laude. Tariq Abi Asaf. William Enrique Acevedo Hernandez, cum laude. Lourdes G. Aguilar. Matthew Check Alex. Bibi Arifa Ali. Andy M. Alschuler, magna cum laude. Juan Alvaredo. Daniel J. Alvarez, cum laude. Maria Stacy Amin. Alessandro Joseph Angiluri. Robert Douglas Arbuco, cum laude. Christopher Michael Armetta. Christopher Anthony Arrigoni. Megan Elizabeth Atala, cum laude. Kylie Elaine Aiel. Justin Thomas Bandisi, cum laude. Matthew Robert Bailey, cum laude. Diana Michelle Bigay, magna cum laude. Emily Bentley. Jake Isaac Berkowitz. Giovanna Nicole Bizarro. Jonathan M. Blackford. Alexa Catherine Blanco. Alexander J. Bloom. Velislava I. Bozinova. Olivia Susan Brenner, cum laude. Haley Gabrielle Brescia, summa cum laude. Nicolette Michelle Brusco, cum laude. Matthew Califano, cum laude. Emma Alvarez Campbell, cum laude. Caitlin Rose Capasso. Megan Ann Carbia. Patrick Carey, cum laude. Brooke Carrillo. Jianing Chen. Anthony Paul Chileri. Megan Elizabeth Clancy, cum laude. Cheryl Ann Clemens, magna cum laude. Carly Coates. Haley Beth Cohen, cum laude. Marissa Cohen. Daniel Lawrence Conant, magna cum laude. Megan Mary Coppa, cum laude. Carrie Cornett. Jordan Christian Robert Kruger. Matthew Kuna, magna cum laude. Brian D. Cunning. Camille Elizabeth Curry. Marina Dalagnol. Rachel Marie D'Ambrosio, cum laude. Bianca De Leon, magna cum laude. Brittany Marie De Cesare. Alexandria J. DeCola. Caitlin Ann De Gennaro, magna cum laude. Eleni Demestihas. Nicole Marie Diodati, magna cum laude. Claire Elizabeth Duda. Shannon Elizabeth Duffy. Zachary Dukoff, cum laude. Christopher Michael Dunn, cum laude. Allison Morton Durette, cum laude. Gabrielle Alicia Dilag, cum laude. Amir M. Ibrahim. Megan Elizabeth Edwards, summa cum laude. Michelle Ann Enright. Alexis Nicole Epstein, cum laude. Jose Roberto Escano. Alicia Colleen Faherty, magna cum laude. Megan Teresa Farrell, cum laude. Jennifer Erica Feynman. Carly Foreman. Brittany Freites, summa cum laude. Morgan Danielle Galia. Stephanie Garcia. Megan Elizabeth Garvey. Taylor Sterling Goodspeed, cum laude. Carly Gabrielle Gresham, cum laude. Christina Louise Grimes. Paige M. Guarino. Alexandra Apollonia Giardelli, cum laude. Noah C. Hale, magna cum laude. Brittany Hanovan. Catherine Ann Henderson. Brandy Herfert, magna cum laude. Giovanni Antonio Hernandez III. Connor Allman Hilby, magna cum laude. Jonathan A. Hurst, magna cum laude. Paula Mia Idrovo, cum laude. Samantha Page Irachi, cum laude. Lauren Jacobson. Danielle Nicole Johnson, cum laude. Jacqueline Victoria Johnchik, magna cum laude. Cassandra Ann Muriel Jurency, cum laude. Michelle Devon Kaminsky. Christopher James Cantor. Christina Karathanasis. Matthew D. Katz. Elia Kazan. William John Kazmachek. Ross Matthew Kaiser, magna cum laude. Christian Thomas Kelly. Jeremy Allen Kemp, cum laude. Taylor Gabrielle Kaselica, cum laude. John Whaley Khan, cum laude. Elon Igor Kotorsky. Chloe Soo-jung Kim, cum laude. Tarian Alexis King. Irene Colonias. George Dodakian Krikorian, cum laude. William Anthony Lapadula. Pearl Ie-un Lee. Alex Robert Late. Ibati Lita. Andrew Douglas Lochrain. Alexandra Morgan McDonald. Grace F. McPhail, cum laude. Mai T. Maran. Bernadette Marie Therese Maligranda. Serena Malson, summa cum laude. Nicole Lynn Munier, cum laude. Thamasek Monacom. Joel George Henry Mays. Anthony Maza, magna cum laude. Seamus Michael McDonough, cum laude. Megan Elizabeth McDonough, magna cum laude. Logan Patrick McIntyre. Claire Sutherland McLeod, cum laude. Nicolette Merlino, magna cum laude. Megan Rose Myers, cum laude. Samuel Russell Middleton, cum laude. Chelsea Anita Miles, cum laude. Rebecca M. Milner. Noah Ari Mittman. Anthony Mel Molina. Melissa Nicole Montoni. Rashad Ahmed Muhinder. Colin Patrick Myers, magna cum laude. Christian Neighbor. Licia Narine. Melissa Marie Nelson. Robert J. O'Connor, cum laude. Stephanie Marie Oliviero. Oscar Noah Ortiz Salguero. Lisel A. Pajarillo, cum laude. Aaron Codd Palmer, cum laude. David Park, cum laude. Tanya Karen Para Garcia. Bhumi J. Patel. Caitlin E. Patty. Madison Page Penn. Rebecca Brandy Peragine, cum laude. Sarah Beth Patrak. Victoria Lynn Picars. Kendall Rose Pipitone, cum laude. Christian McCrane Podest. Monica Jean Porco. Sandhya Urvanshi Prashad, cum laude. Javier Prescott. Daniela R. Presser. Alyssa Puccio, cum laude. Guillermo Andres Pujal, cum laude. Caitlin Amali Ra, magna cum laude. Carly Morgan Regalbuto, cum laude. Diana Reynoso. Jesse Gordon Richheimer. Gerald Rizzo. Kimberly Leonie Rock. Robert Mark Rosenberg. Rachel Elise Rosenblum, cum laude. Aaron Benjamin Rudian, summa cum laude. Mark James Russell, magna cum laude. Dominika Amanda Rybeltowski. Nicholas Brian Santomassimo. Niel Basim Siesh, cum laude. Lauren Schneblin, summa cum laude. Laura Cody Schwartz, magna cum laude. Alexander Rocco Scolavino III. Sierra Nicole Scriber, cum laude. Juliana Marie Sedlako. Sarah Noel Shirky, cum laude. Catherine Acevedo Sierra. Amanda Skrilja. John J. Slater. Rebecca Grace Solano. Shannon Michelle Spada, cum laude. Alexandra Spinner, cum laude. Anna Maria Scucimari. Margaret Gabrielle St. Jean, cum laude. Casey St. Omer. Jacqueline E. Stevens. Alicia Rose Stoklosa, magna cum laude. Hannah Michelle Stone, cum laude. Marianne Storms. Ivan O. Taryn. Gabriela Tavares, cum laude. Jennifer Lynn Timmons. Alyssa Nicole Triasi. Philip John Tullo, magna cum laude. Nicolette M. Tuntigian. Haley Lynn Vogt. Christopher Michael Walker, cum laude. Andrew L. Wallach. Matthew Francis Watson, magna cum laude. Alec Nathaniel Weissman. Jana Lauren Williams. Brianna Joy Winning. Allison Rebecca Wood, cum laude. Sagar Suraj Yadav. Yu Zhao. Wei Zhong. Yingying Zhu, cum laude. Caroline R. Zika, magna cum laude.
Congratulations to the class of 2021. And in the words of the great Professor Nick Robinson, onward and upward. Thank you for joining us.